I'm Natasha Gubernov. Currently, I'm located in Los Angeles, California, and I move around like between Los Angeles and San Francisco currently. But I was born in Moscow, Russia. I studied advertisement, and I never actually work in advertisement. I work like in front end and UX, like product design. When I moved to United States, I couldn't work for a while, so I started doing a lot of art, and now I guess I'll start my presentation from that, so you can see the influence of my work. I also taken some classes at School of Art Institute of Chicago, and I think that's also influenced my work a lot. Okay, let me. So I started doing these like acrylic paintings, and they were quite big. And you can see that I use like a lot of pastel colors, and I still use a lot like similar color palette in my augmented reality work. I also started doing a lot of ceramics because I was living in suburbs of Illinois, so it was quite boring. So I've spent a lot of time in a studio. I also like mixed all the glazes myself for these pieces. And I moved to like 3D printed ceramics, also glazes made by me. And in 2019, I signed up for a hackathon in Chicago. It was hackathon for Spark AR. It wasn't the first time I knew about AR, but it's the first time I knew like about Spark AR. I was very curious like in technology, like all this. And I've seen some AR, don't quite remember the name, but it was like you had to pay for it. It was more like target tracking experience. So after that hackathon, I was like very inspired to do more AR work, but I still was doing like a lot of ceramic, and it's like very labor intensive. So I didn't have enough time, but then with pandemic, I basically stopped doing ceramics and started doing like more AR. And somewhere in between, there's also like was generative work. I use like processing language for that. So I wasn't like only interested in traditional media. Okay, so this is one of the first effects I made with Spark AR. I saw that Digital Art Month, and I really wanted to participate. So I like want to make pieces for like this like AR exhibit. So that's what inspired me to like do more like create. I would say like to take more traditional art approach to my like AR creations rather than like do like face filters. And I also participated all the like exhibits. Some of those pieces actually been to exhibit what use HoloLens, and you walk and exhibit like in real room, but like you were HoloLens. So I've made some of my lenses for purpose of like recording those art videos. Yeah, I really like to experiment with AR and treat it more like maybe like a film. I enjoy a lot like doing filters, not necessarily for someone, just like for like my art. And I mostly put those pieces here. So idea behind those pieces you see now, it was to create like instant art, so I could like record myself and it would be like a quick art piece. But also other people can use the same effects. I use a lot of SDF and like shaders and basically play with it until I like the result. After trying augmented reality glasses, I decided that I need finally learn 3D because I was avoiding it. I really like doing like opposite what other people doing. So I was like mostly playing with camera feed, and all my AR looks quite flat, and I was like very enjoying that. But after experiencing like augmented reality outside like mobile AR, it's like convinced me to learn 3D because it's like finally started to make sense to me. So I'm still learning, and I learning Blender, but I also rather more in generative part of it, like using geometry nodes rather than like sculpting something. But hopefully sooner I can like show more of my like 3D work. The work on the right, you can see on the screen right now, I've modeled in Gravity Sketch, which is like VR program for VR headset, and then I painted it in Procreate. And the middle one is like use like camera feed and like applies like shaders, like similar to other like my pieces. And piece on the left I made for also Digital Art Month in Paris, and the theme was a peace. So like I kind of tried to play with that, like a peaceful state of mind in like water, and like used a lot of like shaders that reminds me of water. Other software I use is Lens Studio, and what inspired me to use it was that they had like machine learning capabilities. So I've trained a model based on my painting, and I actually can maybe quickly go back and show you that painting. The painting in the middle was the painting for like I used for that model. Also, a couple months ago, I was staying in your house. This like house for community house for creators, like creators like AR and VR, and like you can work on your own projects like while staying. So I've worked more like on Snapchat lenses, where I was like I wanted to learn the shaders, and I want to use spectacles, which is like augmented reality glasses from Snapchat. So all the lenses you see right now, they work in those glasses, but also like from mobile. And I think that's basically where I see the future, like be moving towards like AR, like in glasses. And I think that's very exciting. There's like a lot, there's definitely a lot to learn, and software for more advanced classes more complicated also. But I think like the tendency is to make it more accessible and simple for like creators. Okay, what do I have else? Yes. Oh, this is my like Blender experimentation. This is like a seamless loop, which could be. This is like actually a 3D model, which you can't see here. But I hoping that also use it somehow in my future creations. As I mentioned in the beginning, I've attended like hackathon in Chicago, 2019. Well, and basically after that, I was just like looking at tutorials online. Yes. So that's, I guess, YouTube is my main, and just like documentations. Well, for me, mostly it was like I was a part of a community for a long time, CreatAR community, and mostly like I got like a work from there. Also I ended up moving to like California, where all this like technology is more like recognized. It's easier kind of find connections in this industry. I wasn't necessarily like trying to focus on making money in AR. I was really interested in like AR as an art medium. But I think one of the strategy is just like approach. If you do a good work, you can approach brands and just like share your work consistently. Instagram and also Twitter is really good for sharing AR work.